Did you know that the average motorcycle owner spends over $1,000 a year on maintenance and repairs? And here's the kicker. A huge chunk of that cost is completely unnecessary. Shops charge for things you don't actually need, push overpriced products, and keep quiet about simple DIY fixes that could save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars over time. But today, we're breaking the cycle. I'm revealing 10 motorcycle maintenance tips that mechanics don't want you to know, the tricks that save you money, extend your bike's life, and keep you from getting ripped off at the shop. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at motorcycle maintenance the same way again. Let's get into it. Number 1. Skip the overpriced chain lubes. One of the easiest ways to save money on motorcycle maintenance is by ditching the expensive chain lubes that shops push on you. Walk into any motorcycle store, and they'll try to sell you a fancy aerosol can of high-performance chain lube, often at a ridiculous markup. But here's what they don't tell you. You don't actually need it. Many seasoned riders, including professionals, have been using simple gear oil or high-quality synthetic motor oil for years, and it works just as well, if not better, than the overpriced stuff. The secret to a long-lasting, smooth-running chain isn't about what brand of lube you use. It's about how consistently you apply it. Your chain needs regular lubrication to prevent excessive wear, keep it from rusting, and maintain smooth performance. A small bottle of gear oil costs a fraction of what those branded motorcycle lubes do, and it keeps your chain just as protected. Some riders even use 90W gear oil, which clings well to the chain and provides excellent protection. However, one big mistake to avoid is using WD-40 as a lubricant. This is where a lot of riders go wrong. WD-40 is a degreaser, not a proper chain lube. It will strip away existing lubrication rather than protect your chain, leading to faster wear and tear. If you want to use it to clean your chain, that's fine, but always follow up with proper lubrication afterward. Number 2. Your brake fluid doesn't need changing as often as they claim. Ever noticed how some motorcycle shops try to sell you a brake fluid flush every single year? They make it sound like a must-do maintenance task, warning you about spongy brakes, water contamination, and performance loss. But here's the truth. They're just trying to take your money. Yes, brake fluid does absorb moisture over time, and if it becomes contaminated, it can affect your braking performance. But unless you're riding in extreme conditions, racing, or constantly exposing your bike to humidity, you don't need to replace it as often as they claim. For most riders, a brake fluid change every 2 to 3 years is completely fine. So, how do you know when it's time? Check the fluid yourself. It's simple, just look at the brake reservoir. If the fluid is clear or light amber, you're good to go. If it's turned dark brown or has debris floating in it, then yeah, it's time for a flush. But if a shop tells you it needs to be changed just because it's been a year, they're probably just after easy money. Another trick mechanics won't tell you, using high-quality DOT4 or DOTT 5.1 brake fluid reduces how often you need to change it. It resists moisture absorption better than cheaper fluids, so you don't need to replace it as frequently. At the end of the day, brake fluid is important, but don't fall for the yearly flush scam. Number 3. Don't fall for the battery dies every 2 years myth. Ever had a mechanic tell you that motorcycle batteries just die every 2 years and there's nothing you can do about it? That's a complete myth, and one that shops love because it keeps you coming back to buy new batteries way more often than you should. The truth is, a well-maintained battery can last 5 years or more, sometimes even longer. The problem isn't the battery itself, it's how it's maintained. Most motorcycle batteries die early because riders let them sit too long without charging. When a battery sits unused for months, especially in cold weather, it slowly drains, and once it's fully dead, it's hard to bring it back to life. The simple fix? Use a battery tender. A trickle charger, or battery tender, keeps your battery topped up when you're not riding, preventing deep discharges that shorten its lifespan. If you don't have one, at least start your bike regularly and take it for a short ride to keep the battery healthy. Another thing they won't tell you, letting a battery completely drain just once can permanently damage it. Number 4, stop wasting money on special motorcycle cleaning products. Ever noticed how bike shops push motorcycle-specific cleaners, polishes, and waxes at premium prices? Here's the truth. Most of these products are just repackaged automotive or household cleaners sold at double the cost. A good automotive wax works just as well on your tank as a so-called motorcycle polish. Basic glass cleaner is perfect for windscreens and mirrors, and regular degreasers clean your engine just fine. Don't fall for the marketing gimmick. Your bike doesn't care what's on the label. Instead of paying extra for flashy branding, stick to proven, affordable cleaning supplies. You'll get the same results and keep more cash in your pocket where it belongs. Number 5. A simple toothbrush can extend your chain's life by thousands of miles. Shops love selling new chains and sprockets, but what they won't tell you is most riders kill their chain way too early, not from riding, but from neglect. Dirt and grime act like sandpaper, grinding away at your chain and wearing it out twice as fast if you don't clean it regularly. The best part? You don't need an expensive chain cleaning tool. Just grab an old toothbrush and some kerosene or chain cleaner and give your chain a quick scrub once a month. This simple habit keeps dirt from building up, prevents premature wear, and can easily double your chain's lifespan, saving you hundreds of dollars in replacements. A well-maintained chain can last 20,000 miles or more, but if you let it get filthy, you'll be paying for a new one way sooner than you need to. Number 6. Most fork seal leaks aren't real leaks. Fork seal replacements can cost hundreds of dollars, but here's something shops won't tell you. Most fork seal leaks aren't actually leaks at all. In many cases, it's just dirt stuck under the seal, making it look like it's blown when it's really just clogged. Before you pay for a full fork rebuild, try this simple fix. Take a thin plastic card, feeler gauge, or a seal mate tool. Slide it under the seal and gently work it around the fork tube. 9 times out of 10, this clears out the dirt and stops the leak instantly. This quick $5 trick has saved you from spending hundreds on unnecessary repairs. Try it before handing over your cash to the shop. Number 7. Over-tightening your oil drain. Plug can cost you big. One of the most expensive mistakes riders make during an oil change is over-tightening the oil drain plug. Shops won't warn you about this because if you strip the threads or crack the oil pan, guess what? You're paying them to fix it. Here's what you need to know. Your oil drain plug doesn't need to be cranked down with brute force. Over-tightening can cause threads to strip, the plug to seize, or even hairline cracks in the oil pan, leading to slow leaks that worsen over time. Some riders even end up having to replace the entire oil pan, turning a simple oil change into a major repair costing hundreds of dollars. The right way to do it? Hand tighten the plug, then turn it just a bit more, just enough to secure it. Even better, use a torque wrench and follow your bike's service manual for the correct spec. Number 8. A few cents worth of anti-seize saves you from costly repairs. Ever tried removing a bolt only to have it seize up, strip, or snap off completely? If you have, you know what a nightmare it can be, sometimes requiring special tools, heat, or even a mechanic to drill it out. But here's the simple fix. A tiny dab of anti-seize compound can prevent all of this. This cheap silver gray grease acts as a barrier against corrosion, moisture, and extreme heat, keeping bolts from locking up over time. It's especially useful for axle nuts, exhaust header bolts, spark plugs, brake caliper bolts, and any fasteners exposed to the elements. If you ride in wet, salty, or humid conditions, bolts can fuse together due to oxidation. A small application of anti-seize ensures you can easily remove and retighten them whenever needed, without the fear of snapping one off. A single tube of anti-seize costs under $10 and lasts for years, but it can save you hundreds in unnecessary labor costs and prevent a massive headache. Mechanics won't tell you this because seized bolts mean more business for them, but now you know better. Number 9. Your coolant flush is easier than they say. Ever had a mechanic tell you that flushing your coolant is a complicated job and charge you $100 or more to do it? Here's what they don't want you to know. It's actually one of the easiest DIY maintenance tasks you can do. Coolant doesn't need changing as often as some shops claim most bikes only need a flush every 2 years. But some mechanics will try to sell you on yearly coolant changes just to pad the bill. Before paying up, check your owner's manual for the real service interval. The process itself is dead simple. Drain the old coolant by removing the drain bolt or loosening the lower radiator hose. Flush the system by running some distilled water through it to remove any leftover debris. Refill with fresh coolant. Make sure to use motorcycle-specific coolant. not just car antifreeze, which can damage seals. Bleed out air bubbles by running the bike for a few minutes and checking the coolant level again. If you can turn a wrench and use a drain pan, you can do this yourself in under an hour. Number 10. Wheel bearings. Most riders never think about their wheel bearings until it's too late. But when they fail, you're not just looking at an expensive repair, you're looking at a serious safety risk. Mechanics love when riders ignore this simple check, because by the time you realize something's wrong, you're paying them for new bearings, labor, and possibly even wheel or axle damage. The good news? Checking your wheel bearings takes just 30 seconds and can save you hundreds of dollars. Here's how. Lift the front wheel off the ground. Use a paddock stand or center stand. Spin the wheel and listen if it spins smoothly and quietly. You're good. If you hear grinding, clicking, or resistance, your bearings are worn. Check for play by grabbing the wheel on both sides and trying to move it side to side. Any noticeable wobble means the bearings are loose or failing. Repeat for the rear wheel. If you catch bad bearings early, a new set costs next to nothing and is easy to replace. But if you ignore them until they fail, you could end up with a locked up wheel, damaged axle, or even a crash. If you found this video helpful, then do not forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends.